The day they erased me. The last thing I remember is the sound of David's car door slamming shut. That final metallic thud might as well have been the nail in my coffin. "It's just temporary, Dad," he said, avoiding my eyes as he adjusted the rearview mirror. His knuckles were white around the steering wheel. Temporary. That word echoed in my skull as I watched my son's Lexus disappear down the nursing home's winding driveway, kicking up gravel like it couldn't get away fast enough. I stood there clutching my duffel bag, the same one I'd taken on fishing trips with David when he was just a boy. Back when he still looked at me like I hung the moon. Now I was just another old man in a hallway that reeked of ammonia and regret. The nurse at the front desk barely glanced up from her computer. "Room 12B, Mr. Jenkins. Dinner's at 5:30. Bathroom assistance must be scheduled 24 hours in advance." She said it like she'd recited those same words 1,000 times. Maybe she had. My new home was a 6x10 box with a window that overlooked the parking lot. A single framed print of a sailboat hung crookedly on the wall, some generic decoration meant to simulate comfort. I traced the dust along the windowsill with my finger. How many other souls had sat here, watching their families drive away? I reached into my pocket and unfolded Clara's graduation invitation for the 100th time. Stanford University. May 15th. My brilliant girl. The paper was soft at the creases from how often I'd handled it. David had tried to intercept it, but the mailman knew me, had known me since Clara was in pigtails. He slipped it to me during morning meds when the nurses weren't looking. That invitation became my lifeline. I marked off each passing day on the wall behind my headboard, scratching lines into the paint like a prisoner counting down a sentence. 387 days until graduation. 387 days until I'd see her again. Then the rumor started. I heard the aides whispering outside my door one evening. "That Jenkins family bought a waterfront place in Tahoe," one said. "Heard they used the old man's pension to cover the down payment." Their laughter slithered under my door and coiled around my throat. That night, I found myself standing in front of the communal bathroom mirror at 3 a.m., staring at a stranger. The man looking back at me had hollow cheeks and eyes that had forgotten how to hope. When did I become this? When did I let them turn me into this? It was the jingle of keys at dawn that changed everything. A night shift janitor named Hector found me there, still gripping the sink. "Senor," he said gently, pressing a styrofoam cup of terrible coffee into my hands. "The strong ones always survive." As I took that first bitter sip, my fingers brushed against something taped beneath the sink's piping. An envelope, yellowed with age, addressed in handwriting that stopped my heart, Martha's looping cursive. The coffee cup hit the floor. Because inside that envelope was a truth that would unravel everything. A truth my wife had hidden to protect me, a truth that would become my weapon. And so help me God, I was going to wield it. The lawyer who smelled like truth. The envelope nearly burned a hole through my pocket as I shuffled back to my room. Every creak of the nursing home floorboards sounded like a warning. I locked the door, not that it mattered, the staff had master keys, and sat on the edge of my bed with Martha's letter trembling in my hands. The paper smelled faintly of her perfume even after all these years. Chanel No. 5. She'd worn it every Sunday for church. My vision blurred as I unfolded it carefully, like handling a sacred text. "My dearest Harold," it began, and just like that I was back in our kitchen, watching her write at the table, sunlight catching the silver in her hair. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone and they've tried to take what's yours. Forgive me for keeping secrets, but some truths are too heavy to carry while living." A cold sweat broke across my neck. Martha had known. She'd known this would happen. "The college fund for Clara, it's still in your name. David doesn't know. I made sure of it. The paperwork is with old Mr. Henderson at the firm, locked in his safe. He'll remember. And Harold, don't you dare feel guilty for fighting back." Her words punched the air from my lungs. All those years of birthday cards Clara never answered, the Christmas presents returned unopened, David had been intercepting them. My own son had been cutting me out of her life like a tumor. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark, running my thumb over Martha's signature until the sun rose. Henderson and Associates was still downtown, same as when Martha was alive. Getting there required planning. They monitored us at the home, for our safety, they claimed. But Hector, the janitor, had a cousin who drove a cab. "You sure about this, viejo?" Hector asked as he helped me out the service exit that reeked of garbage. The morning air was sharper than I remembered, like breathing glass after years of that sterile nursing home smell. "Only thing I've been sure of in years," I told him. The cab ride was 23 minutes of me rehearsing what I'd say. But when we pulled up to the law office, my throat clamped shut. The building was smaller than I remembered, the brass plaque by the door tarnished. The receptionist, a young woman with a nose ring, barely looked up. Appointment? No. Tell Walter Henderson Harold Jenkins is here. Martha's Harold. Something in my voice made her pause. She picked up the phone. 5 minutes later, an elevator dinged and out stepped a ghost. Walter Henderson had aged into a stooped skeleton of a man, his suit hanging loose, but his eyes were the same sharp blue. Christ, Harold, he croaked. They said you'd gone senile. I barked a laugh that hurt my ribs. Funny. I was gonna say the same about you. His office smelled of leather and bourbon just like before. He poured 2 fingers of whiskey into a coffee mug and slid it across the desk. Martha's box, he said before I could speak. I wondered when you'd come for it. A safe behind his diploma clicked open. The metal box inside was smaller than a shoebox, but it might as well have been a nuclear warhead. Walter didn't hand it to me immediately. You should know, David came by last year. Asked if there were any undisclosed assets in your name. He took a sip, watching me over the rim. I told him no. The weight of that lie settled between us. Lawyers like Walter didn't risk their licenses for nothing. Why? I asked. He opened the box. On top of the documents sat a faded Polaroid, Martha holding baby Clara in the hospital, me grinning like a fool beside them. Because some things, Walter said quietly, are more important than the law. The cab ride back was a blur. I clutched that box to my chest like it might sprout wings and fly away. Inside were deeds, bank statements, and a notarized copy of Clara's college fund, untouched, accruing interest for 18 years. But it was the last item that shattered me, a sealed envelope labeled, "For Clara, when she's old enough to understand." Hector was waiting by the dumpsters when I returned. You look like you've seen the devil, senor. I gripped the box tighter. No. Just remembered I used to be a man. That night, as the nursing home groaned with the sounds of forgotten people dreaming, I spread the documents across my bed. The numbers didn't lie. $217,000. Enough for Clara's tuition and then some. A shadow moved past my door. I froze. Nurse Ratchet, that's what I called her, paused, her silhouette visible through the frosted glass. For 3 heartbeats I thought she'd come in. Then she moved on. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, planning. Because tomorrow I'd call Martinez. And then the real war would begin. The war begins. The phone trembled in my hand as I dialed Martinez's number from memory. 3 days had passed since I retrieved Martha's box. 3 days of pretending to take my meds while hiding the documents under loose floorboards I'd pried up with a butter knife. The nursing home's landline had a 2-minute limit on outside calls, just enough time to set the world on fire. Martinez answered on the first ring. You're alive. I need a lawyer. My voice sounded foreign to me, rough with disuse and something darker. I am a lawyer, old man. Papers shuffled on his end. But if you're calling about contesting your conservatorship, it's not for me. I pressed the receiver closer, watching the hallway through my cracked door. It's for Clara. Silence. Then the sharp inhale of a cigarette. Meet me at the diner on 5th. 2 hours. And Harold. His voice dropped. Don't get caught. Sneaking out was easier this time. Hector's cousin waited in the same dented cab, engine idling by the service entrance. The city rushed past the window in a blur of neon and noise, real life moving on while I'd been stuck in that pastel purgatory. Martinez sat in the back booth of the diner, a mountain of a man crammed into a cheap suit, his tie loose around a bull neck. 2 coffee cups steamed between us, one black, one with cream, just how I used to take it before the home switched me to decaf. He slid a manila folder across the chipped formica. David filed for sole control of your assets 6 months after Martha died. Judge was golf buddies with his father-in-law. A photo emerged from the folder. David grinning at some country club ribbon cutting, his arm around a silver-haired man in robes. But this? He tapped Clara's college fund documents. This is federal. ERISA protected. Even that corrupt bastard can't touch it. I traced the notary seal on the paperwork, the ink slightly raised under my fingertip. How much time do we have? Before graduation? 3 weeks. Martinez leaned in, his cologne battling with the smell of bacon grease. But here's the grenade. David drained your pension to buy that Lake Tahoe house. That's felony theft. We could. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. A waitress paused mid-pour at the next booth. Just the college fund. Clara gets what Martha wanted her to have. Nothing more. Martinez studied me over his coffee cup. Christ, you're really gonna let him walk after what he did? Outside, A school bus rumbled past, kids' laughter bleeding through the glass. I thought of David at that age, how he'd clung to my hand during his first little league game. Some wars, I said slowly, aren't fought with lawyers. The nursing home noticed my absence this time. Nurse Ratched stood arms crossed in my doorway when I returned, her mouth a tight slash of disapproval. Mr. Jenkins, unauthorized outings violate facility policy. I shuffled past her, the documents hidden under my shirt sticking to my skin with sweat. Had a hankering for pie. She followed me inside, her shoes squeaking on linoleum. Your son called. He's visiting tomorrow. The floor tilted under me. David hadn't visited in 11 months. I'll be sure to wear my good socks, I muttered, waiting for her to leave. As soon as the door clicked shut, I tore open the vent cover behind my bed, the one Hector had shown me loosened with a quarter, and stuffed the folder inside. Sleep didn't come that night. Every creak of the building became David's footsteps. Every car headlight sweeping the walls felt like his judgment arriving early. At 4:17 a.m., I gave up pretending and took out Clara's graduation invitation again. The gold foil seal caught the dim exit sign glow. Stanford, May 15th. Somewhere out there, my granddaughter was probably pulling an all-nighter, cramming for finals, completely unaware that her grandfather was coming for her. And that her father was coming for me. The visit. The morning of David's visit, I woke before sunrise. My bones ached from the cold, they kept the home too damn cold like preserving meat, but my mind was sharp. Sharper than it had been in years. I dressed carefully. The same slacks and button-up I'd worn to Martha's funeral. The fabric hung loose now, but the weight of it felt like armor. Hector slipped me a razor when he came to empty my trash. For respect, he said, patting my shoulder. The blade was cheap, the kind they give you in hospitals, but it did the job. I scraped away the white stubble, watching my reflection in the tiny bathroom mirror. The face staring back was older, harder. But alive. So damn alive. At exactly 10 a.m. the front desk buzzed. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. David walked in like he owned the place. His suit probably cost more than my entire month's stay here. Italian leather shoes, the kind that don't squeak. He'd gained weight since I'd last seen him, the good kind, the kind that comes from expensive steaks and no stress. Dad. He smiled all teeth. Like we were meeting for brunch. Like he hadn't left me here to rot. David. I didn't stand. He sat across from me, adjusting his cuffs. A new watch glittered on his wrist. You look good. Liar. A flicker in his eye. Annoyance? Guilt? Listen, I know it's been a while. 382 days. Silence. The clock on the wall ticked loud enough to echo. David cleared his throat. Clara's graduation is coming up. My pulse jumped, but I kept my face still. I got the invitation. His jaw tightened. That was a mistake. The mailroom. Does she know you're here? Another pause. Longer this time. She's busy with finals. I leaned forward, my elbows on my knees. You didn't answer the question. David exhaled through his nose, the way he used to as a teenager when I caught him in a lie. Dad, let's not do this. I came to talk about your care. My care. The word tasted bitter. You mean the way you cared for my pension? The way you care for that lake house? His face went pale. Who told you? No one had to. I reached under my chair where I'd taped a single sheet of paper, a copy of the deed Martinez had dug up. Slid it across the table. David's eyes darted over the words. His hands shook now. Good. This doesn't mean what you think. Save it. My voice was quiet. Come. I just want one thing. He looked up, wary. What? I'm going to Clara's graduation. David laughed, actually laughed, but it cracked halfway through. That's not possible. Watch me. We stared at each other. For the first time in years I saw my son, really saw him. The little boy who used to cry at thunderstorms. The man who'd buried his mother and forgotten how to feel. He stood abruptly, the chair screeching. You're not well, Dad. The doctors said. I'm clearer than I've ever been. David straightened his tie, a nervous habit. I'll talk to the staff about adjusting your medication. That's when I knew. He wasn't here to visit. He was here to check on his investment. To make sure the old man was still safely tucked away. As he turned to leave, I said one last thing. Tell Clara I kept every birthday card. David froze. Just for a second. Then the door clicked shut behind him. I waited until his shadow disappeared from the hallway window. Then I reached under my mattress and pulled out the envelope Martinez had given me, the one labeled emergency use only. Inside was a check. Made out to Clara Jenkins. For $217,000. and a plane ticket to Palo Alto. The escape. The plane ticket burned in my pocket. 3 days had passed since David's visit, and the nursing home had become a prison under lockdown. Nurse Ratched made sure of it. Extra checks at night. Medication adjustments that left me groggy. Even Hector got sidelined, transferred to the night shift after they found contraband in his locker. But they forgot about the vents. At 2:17 a.m., I pried open the loose vent cover behind my bed with a butter knife I'd stolen from dinner. The metal groaned, but no one came. The crawl space was tight, dust clogging my throat, but it led to the janitor's closet near the emergency exit. Hector had drawn me a map on a napkin. Follow the pipes, viejo. They all lead to freedom. The night air hit me like a slap. Alive. Electric. I'd forgotten how the world smelled beyond antiseptic and despair. Wet asphalt, distant jasmine, the tang of a city that never slept. Martinez's burner phone buzzed in my pocket. One text, cab at the corner. Don't smile at cameras. The driver didn't speak. Just handed me a duffel bag. Inside, a clean shirt, $200 in 20s and a Glock 19. I left the gun. Palo Alto at dawn was a different planet. Mansions with perfect lawns, Teslas silent as ghosts. Clara's dorm was a brick fortress covered in ivy. Some kid in flip-flops held the door, barely glancing at me. Room 312. I knocked. No answer. Again. Harder. A voice inside groaned. Who the hell? The door swung open and there she was. Clara. My Clara. Except she wasn't the gap-toothed kid who'd chased fireflies with me anymore. This woman was taller, fiercer, with Martha's sharp cheekbones and my stubborn chin. Her hair was a wild tangle, eyes puffy from sleep, or crying. She froze. Grandpa. The word shattered me. She knew me. All those intercepted letters, all David's lies, and she still knew my face. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. Just a choked sound like a dam breaking. Clara's eyes dropped to the envelope in my hand. The one with "For Clara, when she's old enough to understand" in Martha's handwriting. Then she did the one thing I never saw coming. She hugged me. Not a polite hug. A bone-crushing, sob-shaking hug, her face buried in my shoulder like I might vanish. I called, she whispered. For years. Dad said that you didn't want. I held her tighter. He lied. Over her shoulder I saw her dorm wall. Pinned there, a photo of us at her high school graduation. The last day before David erased me. She'd kept it. The coffee shop across campus was empty at this hour. Clara clutched her cup like it was a lifeline, staring at the college fund check. $217,000, she breathed. Should have been more, I muttered. Your dad. Used it for the lake house. I know. Her voice was ice. Mom told me before she left him. My head snapped up. Left? Clara's smile was bitter. 6 months ago. Found out about his gambling. The second mortgage. She tapped the check. This was the last straw. A door slammed outside. Through the window I saw him. David. Suit rumpled, face red, charging toward the shop like a bull. Clara's hand covered mine. Stay. But I was already standing. Some wars are fought face to face. The reckoning. The bell above the coffee shop door jingled like a warning. David stopped just inside, his chest heaving. His tie was loose, hair disheveled, a far cry from the polished man who'd visited me at the home. His eyes darted between Clara and me, lingering on the check between her fingers. You, he hissed. I stood slowly, my knees protesting. Me. Clara didn't move. Just folded the check and slipped it into her pocket with deliberate calm. Dad. The word landed like a slap. David flinched. He took a step forward, hand outstretched. Clara, you don't understand. I understand everything. Her voice was quiet but carried the weight of a judge's gavel. The missing money. The nursing home. The letters. David's face twisted. He's sick, Clara. Look at him, confused, paranoid. I laughed. A dry, cracked sound. Funny. Martinez says I'm sharp enough to sue you for theft. That got him. His jaw clenched so tight I heard his molars grind. Clara stood then, chair scraping against tile. Grandpa's coming to my graduation. Like hell? It's not a request. She stepped between us, taller than David in her bare feet. You'll sit in the back. You'll smile. And if you try to stop him? She patted her pocket. I cashed this check in court. The air left David's lungs in a rush. He looked at me, really looked, for the first time in years. I saw the boy who'd cried when his goldfish died. The man who'd held his mother's hand as the morphine took her. And then I saw the moment he broke. His shoulders slumped. You always took his side. Clara's eyes glistened. No, Dad. You just forgot what sides are. The walk back to campus was silent. Dawn bled pink across the sky, painting Stanford spires in rose gold. Clara's hand found mine, her grip firm. You're shaking, she murmured. I hadn't noticed. Her dorm couch was too soft, the kind that swallows old bones. She draped a quilt over me, Martha's pattern, the blue and white one we'd kept at the lake house. You kept it? I rasped. Clara smiled, plugging in my dead phone. Stole it when Mom left. She paused. He wasn't always like this, you know? I know. The photo album came next. Pages and pages of memories David had tried to erase. Me teaching her to fish. Martha braiding her hair. All three of us building a snowman the winter before the diagnosis. Clara traced a picture of her 5th birthday. I thought you stopped loving me. The words carved through me. I reached into my wallet, unfolded the creased list I'd carried for 5 years. Every book you should read. Every life lesson I wanted to teach you. Even. My voice cracked. How to change a tire. She studied the list, then the check, then me. And for the first time since I'd arrived, my granddaughter wept. Graduation day dawned clear. David sat where he was told, stone-faced in the back row. Clara's mother, Linda, her hair shorter, her smile freer, squeezed my hand when I took my seat. Took you long enough, she whispered. Then the music swelled. The graduates marched. And there she was, my Clara, summa cum laude, tassel swinging, scanning the crowd until she found me. Her wink was pure Martha. When they called her name, she didn't just walk across the stage. She ran. Straight to the microphone. Straight into the future we'd almost lost. The last letter. The house was quiet. Not the heavy silence of the nursing home, but something softer, the kind filled with the hum of the refrigerator, the distant chirp of evening birds, the rustle of Clara flipping pages in her new law textbook at the kitchen table. I sat in Martha's old rocking chair, the one we'd brought from the lake house. The wood groaned under my weight, familiar as an old friend. Outside, the first stars blinked awake over Palo Alto. Clara's graduation robe hung on the back of the door, her tassel swinging whenever the AC kicked on. She glanced up, catching me staring. What? Nothing. I cleared my throat. Just thinking about your grandma. Clara set down her highlighter and reached into her backpack. Then you should have this. The envelope was crisp, unopened. For Harold, when he's ready, in Martha's handwriting. My hands didn't shake. Not this time. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a Polaroid, our wedding day 1973. Martha in her homemade dress, me in a borrowed suit, both of us laughing like we'd already won. The letter was short. My love, if you're reading this, you found your way back to Clara. That's all I ever wanted. Now do me one last favor, live loud enough for both of us. Start by fixing that damn porch swing. And Harold? Never stop surprising them. I pressed the photo to my chest, right over the scar from my bypass surgery. Clara knelt beside the chair, her head resting against my shoulder. She knew you'd come for me. The porch swing creaked outside, chains rusted but unbroken. Tomorrow we'd paint it. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who understands the weight of family, forgiveness, and second chances. And remember, no matter how far the road, it's never too late to find your way home.